tell you, it was a great effort, and by both these teams, you guys withstanding a seesaw first half, getting a big lead in the third quarter, and then holding on for dear life.
Yeah, I didn't really like the whole holding on for dear life at the end.
I didn't think so.
I like that third quarter a lot better, and I think that if we were just able to hit a few of those one-and-ones, I mean, I had Peyton Bastian as an 80% free throw shooter. She doesn't normally miss.
Right.
And we just happened to miss a few front ends, and that let them get back into it. And credit them for fouling us and getting us a couple turnovers there in the last 5 minutes.
Well, because I don't know, we're awfully close to your bench, so maybe you heard assistant coach Evenstead talk about Dean Smith and the four-corner stall, but right after you did one of those dribble drive stalls, then you went to the four corners, and I think Kayleen thought, there's no way I'm going to spend the fourth quarter watching our season then on a stall.
No, and we don't necessarily have a stall per se, but our kids have learned over the course of the year what we're going to try to do. And we just went out to a 5-out set, and we took off almost 2 minutes off that one possession with including the timeout. And I think that was a really key for us, is to milk that clock a little bit. And then we just needed some kids to step up and make some free throws.
Just like the first meeting, you didn't have anyone that really popped off the scorebook. The Emma Lawrence 27-point thing will now go down as an aberration in this rivalry because nobody ever scores more than 10, although Peyton Bastian did get 10 by my count in this ball game, and then Hattie Renner with 9 off the free throw line. It shows it's a team effort, doesn't it?
Yeah, and this team's really just growing, especially the last 2 weeks. With Emma's unfortunate injury, we've had to learn how to win a different way than we have earlier this year, and this group has stepped up.
And did you tell Emma that back injuries are an old man's disease, and that everybody in this conversation here has got some form of it? She's too young for that.
I've definitely told her that the past 2 weeks. A guy of my stature and a guy of my age should have back problems, not a young lady at 15. And hopefully we're going to get her healed. Whether we get her, I don't think we're going to get her full, 100% before tomorrow. But she's certainly battling through it.
Tonight you had to take out a Belmont team that seemed to have a spark plug in Caitlin Shullsburg, and boy, what can you say about that young lady? She really took it to you in the first half. Yeah,
and she's grown so much over the past 4 years. Having been in this conference, she has really, really grown. And for her to come in, she probably hasn't had her greatest games the past 2 games against us, and she was certainly a focal point for us going into halftime and seeing that she had scored so many in the first half.
And as far as the way that this second half ebbed and flowed, what did you have to tell your kids in the timeouts, and how did you keep them calm? How did you keep yourself calm? How did they keep you calm? I guess
I was going to say the question was backwards. This is more how to keep me calm, and I think they've learned. We've got a nice group. Some of these kids have been with me for 4 years, so they know generally what I want. They know also how to keep me in check. But ultimately, we're just trying to be strong with the basketball. We had a couple turnovers, untimely ones that let them get back in it. But ultimately, we knew we had kids who were going to step up in the end.
Maggie Nice, I don't know if she scored more than what would it be, maybe 20 points in the 3 games, but if you measured them and graded them on a scale of 1 to 10, I think every basket she made in this rivalry this season, they were huge.
Yeah, if you had a Richter scale, it would be pretty darn high every time she had a bucket.
Yeah.
And I think she did some just tremendous things. She's a tremendous athlete, and so sometimes doesn't know how good she really is. But tonight, she played her best game ever. In 4 years with us, she's never played better, and we needed every one of that moment. And I think on defense, she was even much better on defense than she was on offense.
The Barneveld-Southwestern game got over long before ours did, so I'm sure Jimmy Myers is sitting out there wondering, when is Rob Hernandez going to ask Nathan Russell what the game plan is for tomorrow against the Golden Eagles? How do you take down the defending state champs, Nathan?
Well, the first thing is we're going to do a lot of prayer this evening and in the morning. And, Jim's got such a great program. They've got the best kid, one of the best players in the state. They got the best coach in the state, so we're down 2-0 already. But the nice thing about our kids is we played Cuba City.
Right.
We've lost to Barneveld the past 2 years, so we're not going to be intimidated by the atmosphere. We're not going to be intimidated by them. We may not be able to execute, but we're not going to be intimidated. And we've had it close in the third quarter for both the last 2 games. So our goal is to keep it close, keep it within 3 or 4 possessions going into the last 8 minutes, and then if the ball bounces our way, we'll take advantage of it.
Do you feel this team has become accustomed enough to pressure to handle the kind that Barneveld brings?
No. I don't know if anybody can say that in regards to Barneveld.
I love your honesty.
I've seen them 7 times, and I don't know. We've replicated and seen it a couple different times, And I think our guards, Peyton Bastian and Kayla Doherty. Kayla did not play against Cuba City, and that was a big glaring issue for us. And so they've seen pressure. Whether we've been able to execute it efficiently enough against it, we'll see. And whether it be on the full court or whether it be on the half court. So, ultimately we've got to make some shots, and we got to keep them out of transition. They do such a good job of running out with Rachel Slaney. We can't send kids to the boards as much as we have in the past, and that'll be a real key for us.
I couldn't think of two better teams, the Six Rivers East champ, the Six Rivers West champ, to meet for a chance to go on in the sectional. It should be a great ball game no matter where it's played tomorrow.
It is. I'll put my little beef against the WIAA. This should be next week rather than this week, but it is what it is. You got to play who they got scheduled, and we're going to go give our darndest and see how chips fall where they may.
Well, when we start seeding half brackets, then we'll get that request, and I think that needs to come next year. I think enough people are complaining about it that we can get that done. I think if you look at the first round, I had two first round games with over 2 hours of travel, and you can't tell me that 1 through 16 you can't somehow find a way to deal with the travel and maybe make exceptions for certain teams, but get that thing seeded from 1 to 16. Enough with the 1 through 8s and whatever else, or the one in Division 5. Go 1 through 32 on the top and 1 through 32 on the bottom. Got to do something different.
Yeah, I would agree. Obviously you're going to have to beat the best to be the best, and so we're not complaining about that. And I say it a little bit tongue in cheek, but in reality, the past couple of years it's been seeded 1 through 16. And this, what the WIAA did is switch the policy. So the default was going to be 1 through 8 versus 1 through 16, sure. and that's the unfortunate part of it, is they switched that default. And I would love to have it 1 through 32 because I think we would have one fantastic section. But it is what it is. We know we're going to play Barneville tomorrow. We're going to play our hearts out and see how it happens in the end.
All right.